Good afternoon and welcome to the Elura Tony Mundine Gym here in the heart of Redfern in Sydney for an afternoon of open workouts as we build up to next week's blockbuster fight night. It's all coming your way next Wednesday night live from the Horton Pavilion in Sydney and live to Main Event and KO Sports as well. And so to welcome in Main Event's Ben Damon and No Limit boss George Rose. We're going to see both Nikita Tszyu and Danilo Creati in action very shortly as part of our open workouts this afternoon, as well as a host of other names here in Sydney today. It really is the perfect homecoming, George, these 5 title fights after our big trip to Vegas a few weeks ago.
Oh, absolutely. And look, given that it is our first show here in Sydney for the year, big one, you know, we're really excited to have so many great fights on the card. Nikita's looking fantastic. We've been hanging to see him all year. You know, we wanted him a little bit earlier in the year, but obviously with Tim's fight, had to put it back. But now we've got him in and we get to see him in action.
Yeah, great to see Nikita Tszyu is here. He made a bit of an entrance, but the real entrance is being made by the WBA's Super Flyweight World Champion, Clara Lescurat, who's turned up in a van, a black van, with her own name emblazoned down the side. She's really making an entrance here in Sydney. We haven't seen her on Australian shores before, but she takes on Australia's Lynn Sandstrom in a world title fight that you'll see as part of this card. And as you mentioned, a truly stacked card. I can't wait to see Jerome Pampalone again, the number 4 light heavyweight in the world. He takes on Malik Zinad, who we've just seen for the first time in the flesh, a big, strong light heavyweight, and there's something really special in store for the winner of that fight with a really exciting division at the moment.
Well, first up in the ring today is Matteo Tapia. In fact, he's already doing his workout behind us. He's fighting for the WBA Global Middleweight title. He takes on Kiba Gonzalez. He's been described in the lead up to this fight, George, as Australia's best boxer that no one's really heard of. So what can you tell us about him and this opportunity to fight here on home soil?
Well, look, and it's an absolute tragedy that Matteo Tapia has not had the career that he deserves. Like, he's been one of our best prospects for a good part of 10 years, I'd say. He's been fighting since a young age, and he's always had that talent. He's always been one to watch, but we've never had the opportunity to really push him and really showcase him. Now he's with No Limit. We're going to make sure that we push him for as long as we can. You know, he's been absolutely ripping in. He's been in the US for the last year, training hard, preparing himself for his return to Australian shores, and now we're going to make sure we keep him as active as possible. And he's a guy that you need to get around. You need to get to know who he is, because he's a really hot prospect in that middleweight division, and the middleweight division is there for the taking too.
It's wide open at the moment, isn't it, this division, Ben?
Yeah, it certainly is, and there's no reason why Matteo Tapia couldn't find himself right into the rankings. He will if he were to win this fight. The WBO Global Belt is on the line. He takes on Kiba Gonzalez in this fight, and both fighters looking to get themselves into the mix at middleweight, which is a wide open division at the moment. He's an interesting story, Matteo Tapia. He was born in Mexico. He still holds that Mexican heritage dearly. He only fought once last year, and it was in Florida. He now calls Tampa home. He's going back there after this fight to start his next fight camp, and the plan is to get some big fights here in Australia and to continue to build and find his way into a world title fight. And well, you've got another middleweight who's pretty handy as well, who's hanging around the place in Andre Mikhailovich. That's one that you could look to make, George.
Look, he's a guy who's at the top of the division already, and he's there. He's ready to take some big fights in the near future. And you know, knowing that he's there, knowing that you've also got Matteo Tapia there, Isaac Hardman's still floating around. We've had Michael Zarafa, who just fought for a middleweight world title. The middleweight division here in Australia is really exciting. There's some great fights to be made, but all of these guys are shooting for the top. All of them want to be the champ, and they're all putting themselves in line for it.
If Matteo Tapia gets through here, gets himself into the world rankings, you just go straight into an Isaac Hardman fight. It'll be a fantastic build-up, be an entertaining fight, a domestic showdown, a couple of guys who've mentioned each other's names in recent years. Would you like to see it?
Don't put that one on me, Ben. I love both of these guys. Honestly, I love both of them. And you know, for me with Matteo, I just want to get him active. I want to get him active. I want to get him back in the ring. He hasn't been seen enough. He deserves to be seen. He deserves to build his fan base here in Australia, because he's a very exciting fighter too, Ben. He's a very exciting fighter. He can box and he's got power, but he's a very smart fighter, and he won't just go out there looking for a knockout. When the knockout comes, he'll make sure that we all get to see it.
Yeah. So when you say active, I suppose, you know, if you can get through this, hopefully see him again soon, maybe 3 or 4 times this year.
Yeah, look, for him, he's focused 100% on this fight and solely focused on this fight. For me, I'm looking at his next 5 fights. And I want him to be active. I want him to keep moving up the ranks. I want him to keep showing everybody what he can do, because I guarantee you, he's a fighter that you will enjoy watching. If you give him the time, you tune in and get to know him. He's actually a really interesting bloke. Narrabeen local, loves to surf, loves to play golf, but can fight.
His opponent, Ben Kiba Gonzalez, 21-0 out of Venezuela. 17 of those wins have come via knockout. Just how dangerous is this 29-year-old?
Yeah, well, he's a Venezuelan, and we saw what happened the last time that No Limit brought a Venezuelan to town, because Isaac Hardman was beaten and lost his world ranking. So certainly that is something would be in the back of plenty of people's minds. But he's got a fantastic record. I don't think he's fought at the level of Matteo Tapia. I would expect that Tapia goes in a pretty heavy favourite in a fight like this, but anyone who's got to 20-0 has got plenty of ability, so it's a risk, and having that Venezuelan heritage, he's going to come to fight.
And by comparison to Tapia, he has been quite active, 3 fights last year.
And I believe that activity is one of the biggest attributes that you can have at the moment. We see all of our active fighters are the guys who are doing the best, and at the moment Matteo's coming off a lot of inactivity over the last few years, so we want to turn that around for him and let the middleweight division see what we've actually got here, the guy who's going to take over the division.
Right, behind us right now we're seeing Clara Lescurat, who is the world champion. Behind us in the ring, of course, she's taking on Lynn Sandstrom, who's going to come in and have a bit of a chat. We'll chat to you shortly, George. We're going to get Lynn Sandstrom in to talk about the 3-time defending champion, who you're actually laying eyes on for the very first time. What do you make of it?
No, I mean, she's here now, finally. We know she's here. I'm so excited to fight her. Yeah, can't wait.
How are you feeling about this massive occasion?
I'm humble and I'm grateful. You know, it's a great show to have this kind of fight on, and yeah, it's just going to be epic.
Lynn, did you see the car she turned up in? It's got Les Curat down the side and the WBA symbol on the side of the car. She's getting a champion's treatment, there's no doubt about that.
No, she's definitely getting a champion's treatment. I mean, to me, she's a little bit of a prima donna, I reckon. Like, obviously, she's the world champion and everything, but I mean, it's teaching me that you got to stay humble.
Lynn, can you just talk us through some of the events of this week? Because we know that Clara has made plenty of complaints about the hotel that she was in. She's asked for extra people to come. She has really made a lot of demands. What does that indicate to you?
Look, if she wants to focus on how badly she's treating at her 5-star hotels in Darling Harbour in Sydney, I leave that to her. I will just be focusing on the fight. But I mean, I've travelled the world. I've been living basically almost on the streets and making a living out of it. And yeah, I'm super focused on what I need to do, not complaining about what I don't have.
Does that give you any indication perhaps about her mindset going into this fight, the fact that she's worrying about all these other things?
No, it does, for sure. I mean, I have an Argentinian trainer back in LA, and they were telling me that, you know, they are a bit difficult to deal with, and now we get to see it firsthand. But I mean, I'm super focused. I couldn't be more excited to finally face her.
Lynn, it is something that is well known by us within boxing circles, but maybe we should reveal that Clara got through her last fight in very controversial circumstances. The cards were rescored officially by the WBA, and it was ordered that whoever won this fight between you and her would have to fight that opponent again. So clearly they made a decision that the scores went the wrong way, that she should have been beaten that night. Does that give you any concern going into a fight against her, with her as the champion again, knowing that's in her recent history?
I mean, I'm not really focusing on that. I mean, just, if anything, it shows she's not unbeatable. And I'm going to come here, I'm going to make a clear statement so that I know that, you know, there is no question of who the winner is going to be in this fight.
Lynn, talk to us, you've spoken a lot about this, but just about your incredible journey to get here. You've been through so much, you've been through a lot of adversity. It is incredible to think just 7 months ago you ruptured your ACL.
Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles actually, but yeah, I mean, to be able to fight for a world title this soon, like, it's unbelievable. I'm actually super proud of myself, and yeah, just excited.
I heard you say during the week that that injury could have been a bit of a blessing in disguise. Why do you feel that way? Why do you think it's made you a better fighter?
Honestly, I'm a better fighter. I am punching harder, I'm stronger, I'm leaner, I'm faster. Everything is just aligning, and I think have led me to this moment.
And talk to us about what it would mean to win a world title, because we've talked about your journey. You're a professional table tennis player. I think probably you would become the only professional table tennis player to switch sports to boxing and win a world title if you were able to pull this off. But also your Brazilian and Swedish heritage and being based in Sydney. Just talk to us about what it would mean to finally win that world title.
I mean, this is what I've been working from since day one. I've said it to everyone, you know, I'm going to fight for a world title. Here I am. You know, my accent speaks louder than a lot of people's words. And yeah, I'm here. I'm fighting for a world title.
Time to go and show us what you've got.
Excited for you. We're going to let you go and get in the ring. And as Lynn heads off, we're going to chat to Clara Lescurat in just a moment. But I mean, what a journey she's been on, Lynn Sandstrom, to get to this point, to be fighting for a world title.
And she only won one of her first 4 professional fights. She lost her professional boxing debut, and I think most people would have written her off as a world championship chance at that particular point. But here's a world champion who joins us now. Clara, I'm not sure what Clara's English is like, but welcome to Australia.
Bienvenida a Australia. ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from?
Hola, primero muchas gracias. Soy de Argentina, Buenos Aires, Capital Federal.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm from Argentina, capital.
What's it like coming to Australia to defend your belt against Lynn Sandstrom? What does she know about Lynn Sandstrom?
Que venía a defender el título con Lynn Sandstrom. ¿Qué sabes de ella?
Sé que es brasileña en realidad, que está hospedada acá en Australia, y hay pocas peleas de ella, sabemos igual cómo plantear la pelea y bueno, estamos preparados para dar guerra.
I know that her background is from Brazil and not many fights from her, but we have the plan for this fight and we're looking forward to make a good fight.
What do you think seeing her in the flesh? Is she everything you thought she would be?
¿Qué piensas de ella? ¿Piensas que puedes, que acorde al plan?
No la conozco mucho, no hay muchas peleas de ella en YouTube, pero bueno, estamos preparados para hacer nuestro trabajo.
I don't know much about her. There are not many fights from her, but I'm ready to make the work.
And Clara, what happens in this fight?
¿Cuál es tu predicción para la próxima pelea, para esta pelea?
Peleas son peleas, como dije, yo estoy muy preparada y hablo arriba del ring. Obviamente vengo con mentalidad ganadora, sería mi 4ª defensa y espero que les guste a ustedes, a los australianos, como yo voy a pelear.
This is a fight. It's another fight for me. This is my defense, and I just speak in the ring, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching me on the ring.
We will. Thank you so much for coming today, and good luck next week.
Right, well, let's bring George Rose back in to have a bit of a chat about this fight as we see Lynn Sandstrom still in the ring. It's a massive fight, isn't it? This is a world title fight.
Absolutely, WBA world title. It's huge for Lynn. Lynn started her journey with us, and the fact that we get the opportunity to put the fight on here in Sydney for Lynn, and you know, for such a prestigious world title, it's huge. I'm excited for this one. Clara looks really good though. She looks very good.
How much convincing did she need to come all the way here to Australia to defend her title?
Well, a lot of them need convincing until they get here, and then they fall in love with the place and they don't want to leave. So I know that she's enjoyed her time here, but to get here, to make the long journey here was difficult, but knowing that she had the opportunity to defend her world title here, and I have no doubt that she'll love the experience and you know, maybe want to come back in the future, but hopefully she leaves her belt here.
Well, just mention a couple of the factors around Clara Lescurat though. She hasn't been happy with her accommodation. She's had to change. She's brought extra members of her team. She's not enjoyed her time here. She's been blowing up to Lux about everything that's gone on since she arrived in the country. And the fact that her most recent fight was rescored by the WBA. The scores were thrown out, and now whoever wins this fight has to fight that opponent again. There's a lot of murkiness around her as a world champion.
Yeah, well, look, that's why hopefully we can take that world title off her, and then we'll deal with all the problems. But we'll you know, no doubt it's a very tough fight. Very tough fight. She's a rightful champion. She's very good, and with champions come demands, and you know, we'll just make sure that we make happen whatever needs to happen, as long as they can get into the ring and get it on, and Lynn gets her opportunity to take that belt.
And we do know that there will be 3 judges from different corners of the world, none from Argentina and none from Australia. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're from there. They are absolutely from every corner of the world. Yeah, it's look, it'll be completely fair, WBA sanctioned, and they're happy with who we've got now, and you know, there's no excuses left. Now it's just settle it in the ring, and whoever gets their hand raised, they won it fair and square.
All right, well, if we thought Argentina was a long way to come for this fight night, our next man in the ring behind is Malik Zinat. He's come all the way from, he resides in Malta, he's Libyan born, he's come all the way for a world title eliminator against Jerome Pampalone. Let's talk a little bit about this fight. I mean, you're seeing Malik Zinat in the flesh for the very first time, George. Yeah. What do you make of him?
Very big guy, very big guy. Look, I'm really excited for this one. This fight's a sleeper. Like, this is one that I don't think a lot of our Australian public will know Jerome, will know Malik, but this is one that's really going to turn it on. This is a world title eliminator. The winner of this gets a shot at two of the top pound for pound boxers in the world right now. The winner of that fight. So, look, he's here to win. It's a huge opportunity for him, but it's a really good opportunity for Jerome Pampalone too. Jerome is one of the most slept-on fighters in the Australasian region, and he's a guy that can really shake up this division when he gets his opportunity. So a win here sets him up for big things.
Look, Malik Zinat's 21-0. He's number 14 in the world. He's a big, tall dude. We can see he moves really well. Clearly doesn't carry much weight, and he'll go in, probably the bigger fighter in there. But Jerome Pampalone is a future superstar. He's number 4 in the world. He had 3 fights last year. He stopped all of his opponents, and all credible opponents, in the first round. He is one of the most exciting light heavyweights, if not boxers, in the world, Jerome Pampalone. So we cannot wait to see him back here on Australian shores, and he's going to turn into a star in New Zealand as well, and potentially a star all around the world. But George, it must be daunting the first time that you have under your care someone like this, and looking at the guy who's trying to ruin it all. How do you feel about all that?
Oh, look, excited. There's a real nervous energy around this one. Like you said, Jerome's got that knockout power, and no matter what sort of boxing style you love to watch, when you see a bloke who can knock someone out in the first round, credible opponents, you know that's an entertaining guy, a guy that you want to tune in for, and Jerome is absolutely that. But like you said, Malik looks really good. He looks really switched on, really focused. A lot of people struggle with the travel. He looks like he's settled in and really enjoying himself. So, look, for me, it's a sleeper for fight of the night, absolutely.
Did you get him a better hotel than what Clara got?
Hey, anywhere in Sydney is beautiful. There are no bad places in Sydney.
But Jerome is knocked out his last 3 opponents in the first round, which is obviously very impressive. But ideally, would you want a few more rounds under your belt going into a fight like this?
He's stopping guys like the guys he's stopping. Porky Medina is someone who's been to the very top of the tree. He blasted him out last year. The last time he went rounds was against Faris Chevalier, and he won every round in that fight. So, yeah, he can only do what he can do, and he has just looked so impressive, Jerome Pampalone. He is a legitimate star. He's number 4 in the world for a reason, and he's someone who the IBF are very comfortable with him fighting for their world title in the not-too-distant future. Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol are clearly taking up a lot of space at the top of that division, but now that fight is set, and we wait and see what happens with the IBF belt as a result of that. But Jerome Pampalone would not look out of place as a world champion right now.
So would he likely take on the winner of that fight? Is that what's sort of...
Well, potentially, but there's the complication of a rematch in that fight. There's a German, Michael Eifert, who's up the top of the rankings, so the winner of this fight, we're getting really into the weeds here, but we'll go number 2 in the IBF. There's a chance that he would fight for a vacant title against the German next, or we wait and see what happens with Bivol and Beterbiev. But yeah, certainly if Jerome Pampalone wins this fight, he'll be fighting for a world title very soon.
There's a bit going on behind us. What do you make of, we spoke to George about his thoughts on Malik Zinat. What do you see when you look at him, Ben?
Yeah, well, he's got plenty of reach, he's got plenty of range. I've had a good look at him online, and yeah, there's sort of a feeling that there's talent there, there's ability, but he's unproven ultimately because he hasn't been at the sort of level that Jerome Pampalone has been, but you don't know until you know. So we'll wait and see what he brings on fight night, but gee, there's plenty of him. He's a big, tall fella, and he will have a height and reach advantage, and he's got plenty of confidence too. Just chatting to him briefly there before he went out, yeah, he's not going to be shy in a contest like this, and he's not going to be someone who's looking at the fact that Jerome Pampalone has stopped his last 3 opponents in the first round and being concerned with that. He'll back himself in a fight like this.
Yeah, Jerome's obviously not here today, but I know you've been in constant contact with him. I'm sure he's watching our open workouts now. What do you think he's made of his opponent?
Look, I think he's excited for it. It's an opportunity that people train their whole life for, and he's now in that position where he's training to fight against one of the best in the world, for the opportunity for a world title eliminator, the chance to fight the top of the tree. He'd be jumping out of his skin right now, and I know he can't wait to get over here.
Well, Malik Zinad is going to come and join us now. In fact, George, if you don't mind ducking out, we'll get Malik in here. Hello, great to see you. Good to see you moving around here. How do you feel? You're fresh and ready?
I feel great, you know. Thank you for letting me promote for this opportunity. This is my big fight for myself, so I prepare really hard for this one.
What do you know about Jerome Pampalone? I'm sure you've looked at his record and you've seen some fights. What do you make of him?
He's a good fighter. He's like me. He's come here to win. I come to win. So it's going to be a war in 24.
How are you going to win this fight? You've got a fantastic record when it comes to knocking out opponents. Is that what you've got in store for him?
Of course, I'm working hard and I want to win this fight, no matter what. That's what it says, like in our country. Win or die, so I have to win this fight.
Not many have seen you, certainly from Australia, not many have seen you previously. Describe your boxing style to us. What do you do in the ring?
I mean, now you will see me, now you will like, you come watch the fight on Wednesday and you will see new Malik Zinad, something special. You will like pay a lot of money to come watch me after this fight, trust me. And finally, after this fight, Limit Promoter will sign me up for sure, because I'll be ready for the big one after that.
Well, you're selling yourself. Tell us your story. What is your boxing story? Where have you come from? How have you got to this point?
So I'm the first professional fighter in my country. I'm first one in the history of my country. So I'm doing everything like no one did before me. So I did a good step, you know, by myself. And this one I'm gonna show the people what I'm gonna do for the next, you know. And I'm gonna thank all my fans, my people around me, my country, all support me everywhere in the world, you know, my friends, family, my wife, my daughter Amina, because I don't see her for like 2 months now. And I'm gonna say to her, Amina, I'm coming with a winner, right? I'm coming with a win next week. And Amina, she like this song. Oh, Satalana, Satalana. She knows this, she knows this video, like. So I'm gonna win the fight and everyone's gonna be happy. And I'm gonna make my country proud of me.
Are you based in Libya at the moment? You've been in Malta at times and in the US. Where are you at the moment?
I've been all the world, you know what I'm saying? I train in Malta, I live in Malta, I live in Finland, I live in the UK, America. My training came from America, you know, and Malta is like my second home, you know what I'm saying? I love Malta. So I'm gonna surprise everybody in Wednesday.
And where did you learn to sing? Where did you learn to sing?
I don't learn to sing, but I know some words, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Malik, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great to have you here, and we'll see you on Monday for the press conference.
Thank you so much. Yeah, see you all together. Yeah.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you. Wow.
It's going to be a fantastic fight, as George said.
What a great character too.
Great character. This could be the fight that steals the show next Wednesday.
It very well could be. Well, it is a huge fight. It is a world title eliminator, and we mentioned those names, Beterbiev and Bivol, two of the true stars of global boxing. They've got the world titles at the moment in this division, and the winner could easily be in one corner against one of those guys in the not too distant future. So Jerome Pampalone and that man, Malik Zinad, have got a huge opportunity on a major night. Bizarre, isn't it? We've got an English-born Kiwi in Pampalone and a Maltese-based Libyan in Zinad, who are fighting here in Sydney, Australia, to take on probably a Russian for a world title. It's a bizarre but global sport, and it's a fantastic situation for both. And
that is all before our headline act on Wednesday night. Danilo Creati is in the ring right now. We're going to have a chat to Nikita Tszyu in just a moment, but we talk about fighters looking fit. Danilo, he looks ready for this one, Ben.
Yeah, he does, and that's what he needed to work on after the most recent fight that we saw, where he probably didn't handle the 5 rounds, and fair enough too, because he took a Wednesday fight on Saturday notice, and he was not fit, but he has been working very, very hard ever since that. I know his trainer, Tony Del Vecchio, got him back onto the road the very next day, and he started the process of getting fit for what is a 10 by 3 minute round fight for the Australian Super Welterweight title. He's Italian born. They'll speak Italian in the corner, in fact, him and Tony. The other corner will speak Russian, Nikita and Igor, so we won't bother getting microphones into the corner. But Nikita, what do you see when you have a look over there at Danilo Creati?
A victim.
Please go on.
I don't know how else to go on. Victim.
Victim number 9.
Yep, basically.
He had a few things to say. Have you ruminated on those since? Have you been thinking about the fact that he questioned your chin and questioned a fair bit about what you do in boxing?
Not really. I don't think my chin is that vulnerable. I think everything that I've got going is pretty good.
What would you say you learnt from your most recent fight, though?
To try and start a little earlier. Don't get knocked out, don't get dropped to get your head switched on.
Do you think that that's where he's getting his theory that you're chinny? Is that where that's coming from what happened in the first round against Dylan Biggs?
Yeah, I think that he's playing into that too much, and the fact that I fell during, he also said something about Brubaker.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the headbutt, and he thinks that there is vulnerabilities in that part of it. But if you saw the punch, if you saw the shots, especially the Biggs one, it just was more of like an off-balance thing rather than me being clipped hard and my legs buckling. So he can think whatever he wants to think, but he can come punching at me, and I'm going to drop him as well.
I was really interested in what he said about the different places you come from in a boxing sense, with you being given advantages because of your name, him coming from relatively nothing, as he put it. He made the Rocky IV analogy. I know you haven't watched Rocky IV, but have you thought about that at all? Those different situations from where you came, and him sort of underlining that fact the other day?
Not really, because at the end of the day, he's also gifted in aspects. The people in Africa, poor people in Africa, they have absolutely nothing, but they're still doing the same. They're still grinding it out. So they probably think the exact same about people in Australia. So there's different places we're all born at, different hierarchies, and it's kind of, yeah, I don't know where else I'm going with this, but yeah.
Nikita, the build-up to this fight, it's been pretty friendly so far. At the press conference last week, you know, having a good chat, there was plenty of smiles. Do you think over the next few days things are really going to...
Well, Megan, it was friendly to a point, because the other day we were doing an interview, I was doing an interview with Danilo, and as soon as Nikita walked into the room, Danilo's attitude changed completely, and that's when he just started sledging you. Clearly he thinks he can get in there and burrow under your skin in some way, doesn't he? Isn't that why he did that?
I don't know. I didn't really think too much about that, but maybe. But it's going to be very hard for him to get under my skin.
Yeah. Does it feel like, though, this fight is sort of lacking that same sort of animosity and hatred that we saw with Dylan Biggs? Is it going to ramp up over the next few days?
Look, once the weight cut starts coming in strong, that's when my anger comes out. That's when the not frustration, but that taste for blood is going to start coming out. Especially on that final day, right before the weigh-in, when I'm at my most depleted, there's not going to be any love between us. There's not going to be any smiles.
And that's where you flick the switch, don't you? And it lights the fuse for what you end up doing in the ring.
I don't know if you've noticed in the past, I'm all kind of like bubbly all over the place beforehand. Then once the weigh-in, once it's time for the weigh-in, that's when things get real serious in my head.
What are you seeing? Have a look at Danilo. He's moving around with his trainer here. What are you seeing?
A jab, a hook. A jab, a hook. A jab, a hook. Let's see. Moving.
But his movement is his strength, is it not? Is that the way that you see Danilo Creati, the boxer? The way that he uses his feet and the way that he uses the ring, that is the strength of him?
Yeah, but I'm going to make it his disadvantage. I'm going to make him move into a point where he's not going to want to move anymore. He's just going to stand still.
Is that by draining him with the movement, or is that working the body? What is that?
I don't know. I was just trying to be tough.
It sounded tough.
Sounded badass, but I didn't know where I was going with it.
Nikita, we'll let you go and get organised because you're going to get in the ring in a moment. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you on Monday for the press conference.
Thank you very much.
See ya. Thanks,
And
Nikita.
let's bring George Rose back in. Obviously great to chat to Nikita, but talk to us about what's in store for Nikita should he get past Danilo next Wednesday night, because there's a pretty decent hit list waiting in the wings.
Yeah, look, we're lucky enough to discuss his hit list over the past week, and there are so many good fighters in this super welterweight division. You've got guys like Cohen Mazzutia, you know, you've got the likes of Wade Ryan, you've got the likes of Brock Jarvis stepping into the super welterweight division, and all these guys were mentioned for his hit list, but there's still on top of that, there's still more great fights here in Australia for him to add to that. So that hit list could end up rolling all the way out. It gets to a point where he decides, you know, what he wants to do, whether he wants to continue to test himself locally or jump overseas and step into that. But all of these fights are chances for him to grow as a fighter, chances for him to become better, to learn more and be ready for the bigger tests.
Well, because at the back end of last year, we were already talking about Nikita potentially fighting in Vegas at the beginning of this year. Is that sort of maybe on hold now, and you want to do more local fights before taking him to the US?
It's definitely something that's always going to be there. You know, the opportunity to go there now that there's no restrictions on travel, no restrictions on any of that. The opportunity is always going to be there. But the other blessing that we have is that there's so many great fighters here in Australia that are going to test Nikita, and Danilo Creati is absolutely going to test Nikita as well.
Do you think we lose sight of the fact just how early in Nikita's career it is? At this stage, Tim was still in relative obscurity, but Nikita has been on the big stage since the very start of things.
Yeah, of course. And look, we've been lucky enough to witness the journey from day one, from the first pro fight through to this point that he's at now. It's only 8 fights. It is literally only 8 fights, and he's here now. We've been blessed to be on that journey, but you've got to remember he is still very early in his career. And like you said, Tim, a lot of other pro fighters, they were still, you know, fighting people with not even close to the records that Nikita's fighting. He's testing himself more than any other fighter has, and happily doing it. So we're watching a guy that's growing. He's still a few years off being the best version of himself.
He's a strange fella too, isn't he? Did you, at the press conference the other day when he was talking about the blood fascination yet again, which he does so often, it felt a little bit creepy.
Look, I feel lucky to be there to witness it front row. You never know what you're going to get from Nikita, and it's the same with how he fights. You do not know what he's going to say, you do not know what he's going to bring to the fight. He can do absolutely anything in the ring. What he chooses to do on the night, you don't know what you're going to get, and that's why it's so exciting to be able to tune in and watch Nikita fight. And it's the same as you see him in a press conference. When it comes Nikita's turn to talk, I just sit back and cross my fingers and hope that it's not something too outrageous, but he's himself, and I absolutely love it. He's true to himself, and he's got an interesting fascination with blood.
He really does. What do you think happens in this fight? Danilo's about to come in. I don't know if he can hear you, but what do you realistically believe is going to happen when Nikita Tszyu fights Danilo Creati next Wednesday night on main event?
Look, Nikita's a guy who likes to get bloody, who likes to get in and mix it up. Danilo is a man who is a very evasive fighter, very good counter-puncher. So he's a guy that'll be trying to avoid Nikita's big hits. Nikita will be chasing him down, trying to land them. So it's going to be a great game of cat and mouse.
All right, George, appreciate your time once again. We're going to let you step out. We're going to bring Danilo in for a quick chat. Danilo, great
Welcome.
to see you. How was that for you, putting on a bit of a show for this audience, and of course live on Fox Sports as well?
Amazing. I can't wait to jump on and have fun.
What are you thinking, seeing Nikita behind you? I mean, you've been around him plenty of times, but now maybe almost tripping on his skipping rope.
Can you do that?
No, I can box.
Okay.
I can definitely give him some suggestion about which restaurant and which recipe to eat, because I heard he's eating a steak with pineapple and raw eggs. So I definitely can give him some better direction, but no, I can't jump like that.
How fit are you? Because last time out, taking that fight on a few days' notice, you were probably not ready to get back into boxing.
Yeah.
But since that time, I know you've been working hard. Where do you think you're at the moment?
Let's say 99%. My body hold on all the trainings. We've been literally sprinting every day. One day with my legs, one day with my upper body, the next day doing sparring. The body's here, my face is clean, so everything looks positive.
What is your advantage in a fight here? Is it your footwork? Is it the way that you move that you think gives you the best chance of beating Nikita?
We're not gonna beat him just with footwork. I definitely aim to manage the fight with my experience and slowly bring it in my way with some IQ.
We only saw you a few weeks ago on a no-limit card. It was that draw against Marcus Hayward. How much do we read into that fight? You know, given it was only taken on, 3 days' notice, you were coming off more than a year out of the ring. How much do we look into that fight, and how much should Nikita take notice of that fight?
I guess that a referee in that fight, they were slightly a bit more strict. They were expecting, I don't know what they were expecting. The verdict was not what I was expecting. But anyway, every fight has a story, and for every fight, fighters get more or less prepared with more or less injury. So anyway, I'm taking everything as a good. It's a great exposure. It's a great opportunity. I'm loving it.
What sort of version are we going to see from you next Wednesday night?
Let's see. I definitely think it's going to be a great version of me.
You do, well, you have said that you've got a question mark over his chin. I guess you take that out of what happened against Dylan Biggs in the first round when he went down, and some other fights. Is that realistic to you, that you think you can get in there and stop Nikita Tszyu?
Definitely. I have two hands like him, I have two hands like Dylan Biggs, I have two hands like everyone else, plus a lot of experience in my side. Guys, we're playing a lot about my fitness, but I'm really fit. I'm gonna give him a good bash. Probably, you know what I mean? Everyone doesn't expect me to get to round number 10, but definitely for the first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, I'm gonna be having my go with him.
Your standout victory is probably the Cameron Hammond fight, where you brought that power and you showed that you can punch. Is that a fight that you look back on and it gives you confidence against Nikita?
My resume gives me confidence. My fitness gives me confidence. My preparation, and as I said, every preparation is different. I just really believe in myself. So that's all it matters.
What about his power? Do you think you've ever faced anyone as powerful as Nikita Tszyu?
I don't usually get punched, so I can't really tell you if Nikita is powerful as well. Definitely I can tell you that he found a lot of opponents in front of him that they were grounded with their feet, catching all those punches. It's not gonna be like that. I will be moving, so I'm gonna dodge, avoid and absorb most of them.
How do you see this fight going? Is it going to be all on from the first bell?
Difficult to tell you that, otherwise I would be betting exactly on which round. But I can tell you that we are keen for this fight. We are everybody positive. There is people having dreams about it, so we just go to win.
Have you allowed yourself to think about what would happen if you win this fight? You know, the doors, the opportunities that would open?
Look, I always think day by day. Definitely this fight is going to open more opportunity, more doors. But anyway, I don't want to think too much in advance, because every step is important. Because if you look too much in front of you, you might make a little, trip, and probably, so step by step. It's always the best things to do.
Danilo, what about the fact that you, as an Italian-born man, are here on this stage in Australia on a card that features someone born in Libya, someone born in the UK, a world title fight between an Argentinian and Lynn Sandstrom, who's a person of the world. It's got a real multicultural feel to it, doesn't it, this card?
Definitely, this is what Australia is. It's a big melting pot full of good people, great people, people that left their country for a lot of reasons, good or bad, you know what I mean? So anyway, this card is reflecting a bit what Australia is. Honored to be part of this fight night, honored to be the main event of this beautiful card. I wish the best to all my colleagues, to all the fighters.
Great. Thanks so much, Danilo.
Danilo, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you on Monday for the press conference. Thank you. We're going to bring George Rose in for a final thought, but he's very confident, isn't he, Danilo? Do you think Nikita is underestimating him?
No, I don't think Nikita's underestimating, but I think generally people are underestimating him because he is a very hard guy to hit. We just saw he went the distance with Michael Zarafa, a guy who challenged for a world title. He is a very good boxer and a very hard guy to hit. So he is going to make it very difficult for Nikita. But
Okay, we're just looking over here because Brock Jarvis has just rocked up here.
He has.
Should we get
Brock
him in
Jarvis
for
to join us. G'day, Brock. Good to see you.
what are you doing here?
I got a special invite.
Okay.
So,
Are you looking at a potential future opponent over there, do you think?
yes, I am.
What weight do you want to campaign at? Do you want a super welterweight? Does this suit?
Super welterweight is what it's looking like for me, I believe. I think I'll be comfortable with that weight.
And why is Nikita someone that you're interested in fighting? Because of the name and where he's got to, or is he someone that you've looked at and seen weaknesses, seen possibilities?
No, I want to fight Nikita because he's been talking a bit, he's been a bit lippy, and I want to shut him up.
What did he say?
Oh, come on, Ben. Don't give me that.
He
Don't
said
play
that
again.
he would stop you quicker than what Liam
So
Paro
you
did.
know. That's correct, he did.
And how did that resonate with you?
I think he's getting lippy, and that's obviously not what's going to happen. And I want to prove it.
What would happen in a fight between you and Nikita Tszyu?
I think I'll stop him. I think I'll knock Nikita out. I don't think I know I'll knock Nikita out.
And when will you be ready for a fight like this? I know you've had shoulder injuries and foot injuries and a lot of rehab. Are you ready to go for his next fight? If he gets through Danilo Creati, of course.
That's right. He's got a tough challenge in front of him. I know Danilo is a good fighter. I'm looking to get back in the ring myself as soon as possible. I've had a lot of inactivity. I haven't fought for a long time. So I'm looking to get back in there soon. And then we'll go from there, I believe.
Are you going to have a word to him when he gets out of the ring? Is there anything you want to say directly to Nikita?
Sure, I'll say something. No problem.
Well, tell us here. What is your response to the things that he has been saying? Tell us here, because I'm sure he'll watch this.
Yeah, I'm just, he's got a big mouth, and I'm happy to close it. He's disrespecting me in that way, and that's fine. But I want to fix him up for it.
I'm sure you'll either be there at the Horden on Wednesday night or watching on Main Event when Nikita Tszyu fights Danilo Creati. You've watched both of these guys in recent years. What do you think happens in this fight?
Look, it's an interesting fight. Danilo's, he's got an awkward style. So I think it'll give Nikita some trouble. So it'll be an interesting fight.
All right, good to see you, Brock Jarvis. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
Well, you've got your chance now to go and have a word to him. He's jumped out of the ring. We'll let you go and do that, Brock. And we're going to bring George in for a final word. Is this the next fight? I mean, the fact that he's here, he wants to call him out. Is this the likely next fight for Nikita should he win next Wednesday night?
look, I think that it is a fight that will happen. Definitely, they're both so interested in it, and I love that energy when people turn up and they put their, they put their mouth on the line, they put their body on the line. He wants his fight. Nikita would be interested in the fight, so it's one that I definitely like to see. But I also am excited the fact that Brock wants to compete in the super welterweight division, which is, in my opinion, the best division in Australia. We've got so much talent in it. There's a lot of really good fights that he could have. So I really want to see him back in the ring. And look, if him and Nikita end up meeting, mate, what a fight.
You've got a better view than I do. What's going on? Is there any exchange between them yet?
No, Brock's just walking behind us, in fact. I think he's off to do a bit of media stuff. But, he turns up in great condition even to an open workout that he's not involved in, as Brock Jarvis. He always looks the part, trains incredibly hard. Clearly was sculpted for a long time by the great Jeff Fennick and now is going about his business in a different way. But it would be such a fantastic build-up to have Brock Jarvis against Nikita Tszyu. We're sort of jumping a little bit too far ahead at the moment because this is a tough fight for Nikita. He's got a lot on the line here against Danilo Creati. He's had some rough nights at the Horden Pavilion. Danilo, so confident when we were talking to him moments ago, and I think the really telling thing was how he replied to you about the relative power of Nikita and other fighters. He says, well, I don't know because I don't get hit. And that really is the key to him, George.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and that's what that's my take on it too. Is that we love Nikita. He's very entertaining. When he lands, it's devastating. But that's the thing. He's got to land on Danilo, a guy who's known for not getting hit.
Yeah, It's going to be interesting as well to see how the mood shifts, and it is really going to shift over the next few days, going into the press conference, the weigh-in next week, and well, as Nikita said, once that switch is flicked, it does light the fuse for what we see.
Well, once everyone's hungry, I think that makes a big part of proceedings, and they're going to be next week because, it's fight week and there's a lot on the line.
All right, gents, really appreciate your time today, as always, and we'll see you both next week. Don't forget, join us from Monday, live from the Hordern Pavilion for the official press conference. That's from midday, and then same time the following day, also at the Hordern for the weigh-in. Our coverage on Wednesday, main event coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, order this fight now. We'll see you next week. Thanks for your company.
It's the blood that gets to me. That's what I love, seeing that blood.
Nikita, the Australian champion. Danilo Creati.
It'll be fireworks. Everybody on this card is going to put on a hell of a show.
That is a monster shot.
Brilliant exhibition of boxing.
You're not quite right, Nikita Tszyu.